are now listening to the Playmaker Podcast.
Before we get into this episode, we want to show some love to our partner, Stateside Vodka. I know y'all love to drink and hate hangovers, so why not drink something that is gluten-free, blended with electrolytes, zero sugar, zero carbs, and vegan. If you want to purchase this, visit statesidevodka.com and use code PLAYMAKER or click that link in the description below. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and once again, visit statesidevodka.com and use code PLAYMAKER. What's good, family? This is the Playmaker Podcast. I'm your host, Reggie Coleman. You always laugh at my intro. Chill. Welcome back, Keita.
I'm Keita. DJ B.
And today, they crazy. Don't worry about them.
Chill.
Today, we have a special guest, former quarterback from Nottingham High School. If you're local, you know where that is. Two-time All-American punter from Delaware Valley University. I visited that school back in my day. I'll talk about that later. We want to welcome Steven Adams to the show.
Appreciate y'all having me on, man. Thank you.
So let's talk about how you got into football. First, how have you been? Are you safe, healthy? Well, if you weren't healthy, you probably wouldn't be here. But just how you been over these, I guess, it's been 6 months in this pandemic, 7 months? How have you been?
Yeah, I've been good. Been really around family, friends, really just getting back to what's important. I've been away for these last couple years at school and, even this past year traveling. So I'm looking at the pandemic as a little bit, I'm thankful for it just because it put me around my family and, the people I need to be around the most.
Yeah, that's definitely important to stick around your people, your family, friends, close friends, because you don't know what all your friends doing. But let's talk about your upbringing and how you got into football. I know your dad coached at Nottingham for a long time. He was actually my freshman basketball coach, if you remember. You probably don't, but I was quiet. But how was I hated Nottingham. That's my friends weren't there. But How was your upbringing coming up in football? Was it only football, or did you play any other sports?
Yeah, so I was actually I was a baller. I played basketball growing up. I played football specifically like when I was like 5 or 6, but nothing too serious to where I thought that would be my future. Mm-hmm. I really thought that I was going to be on the hardwood and playing with the rock in my hands and whatnot. I went to Northern Burlington. We had moved out there, so I was about to go into their program, and I started working out and training with them, and I'd kind of got away from football. Football wasn't really brought back to me until I had a bad experience at Nottingham with basketball and ended up just finding this little niche in football. Started out playing receiver, moved over to quarterback because there was an opportunity, and then, we did what we did in high school, and even going into college was at quarterback and found a new opportunity. So it's kind of moving around, but it's got me to this point where I'm at today.
So at Nottingham, did you played quarterback? But I read it was an article back when you were working out on the side punting when you were younger. How did that go? Did you want to do that? Because as we know, a lot of kids, even teenagers, don't want to be a punter. So what was that feeling like? Your dad telling you to work out on punting. How did you feel when he said that?
Well, I don't mean to correct you, but it was actually my mom who was the one who wanted me to punt the
mom,
most.
dude.
Shout out to mom.
Shout out mom, man.
She the story is funny, man. When I was growing up, all I was really concerned about was the selfish aspect of sports, where it was getting the shine, getting the notoriety, the recognition, and that came with scoring touchdowns or scoring baskets. You know what I mean? So moving into a position that wasn't as appreciated by the fans, it wasn't something I wanted to do when I was younger, and my mom insisted, hey, you have a leg. This is something you should look into. This is an opportunity for you. Something that just wasn't appealing to me, so I didn't want to touch it. As I got into high school, it became more of a need basis. Like, we had a really good kicker punter my junior year, and up and through then named Albright College, where it wasn't as much of a priority for me to tap into that because he was so good at what he did. As I got into my senior year, we had a younger guy coming in and punting. He wasn't as committed to it, so that was something I just kind of did for the team again. Had no interest in it, didn't want any parts of it. And then my final game against Notre Dame, I punted, and that was the only time through my whole high school career where I got Player of the Week for the county. Crazy. So it was the one game I punted, the one game I got. So it's kind of always been there for me, whether it's been coming from mom or dad or whoever. But it was really kind of that moment where I realized, like, okay, maybe I should just look into this a little more if this is what's going to come out of it on such a kind of short basis.
What made the mental shift? Because being a quarterback, like,
as a football fan. That's who gets all the notoriety even now.
Yeah.
What made that switch in your mind? Like, all right, I could kick. Like, even though
Took
you're
a
losing
lot.
all the praise and everything.
It took a lot, especially somebody who had such a big ego in high school. Like that was my thing, to just kind of talk junk, and that's what I was kind of known for in the area. So it took a big ego adjustment just for me to kind of check myself and be like, what's more important to you? Get the recognition now or get it later? It's going to matter. And it wasn't really a priority when I got to college. Getting on the field was a priority. I went through an experience my first year out of high school where I didn't even get to play college football. I was back home, kind of stuck where I was, and just kind of being back around in football at school, it made me just think, I'm not going to be picky. I just need to get on the field and work from there. So it like I said, at the forefront was a lot to handle initially when you realize how insignificant that stuff is, and you realize like what the bigger picture and what matters. It made it very easy to transition away from that.
So talking about high school, who was your biggest rival or your best game or memory you had in high school playing at Nottingham?
Well, the biggest rival was definitely like Steiner or
Yeah.
West. Obviously it comes with the territory. For me personally, it was always Notre Dame. Notre Dame, there was just something about the student that went there, or something about the kid that went there that always just really irked me or twisted me the wrong way. I just never. And listen, hey, I got big love for. There's a couple people, friends I've had gone there, coaches who have worked there, staff. Like there's a lot of people there who I do have love for. But at the same time, when I saw Notre Dame was on the schedule, whether it was football or basketball, it was just tapping into a different mentality.
That's how I feel about Trenton High.
Yeah. Where did you go?
We
went
both
to
to Trent
West.
Catholic.
We went to TCA.
Oh, TCA, okay.
I don't know
My
what school
boy
we
went to Trent High.
Okay.
But
I ain't even
He's
know
eyeing
we
you
went
up.
there.
yeah, but yo, they are crazy. What's wrong with y'all? Make sure that mic don't drop.
Nah, I got you.
Say no.
You're crazy.
But we good. But I'll edit that out. But how was it? How did you guys fare in high school? Were you guys good? Record wise, how did it go?
I mean, for basketball, I always try to separate the two because I had a lot of success in football that was totally different in basketball, and I think it was just a product of who was running the program at the time. I'm not going to get too far into that, but ultimately it just wasn't a good fit for what I felt was myself and the guys around me. And I think that kind of came to light when Chris Robert took over the program and we moved into a different direction and whatnot. So basketball was always a good situation, football was a good situation because we had, my dad, who was what I will say as a player, from player-coach relationship, not father-son relationship, is easily one of the best coaches to come to be in this area. Seeing the time and the effort and the work he just puts in, he always made it easy for us because as much time as we had to put into the weight room and getting the plays and building that rapport and continuity, he made it easy on the back end where the other stuff was kind of just dealt with and taken care of like a coach is supposed to. So for football, it was really good. I mean, I have the most winning record as a starting quarterback at Nottingham, so I would say that's
Talk your talk.
that's good.
dope.
We got our ring, the only ring in Mercer County history. Hamilton history, and then it was the first ring since only Notre Dame, who won it in '89. So that was a big feat for me to come back and having grown up at that school and to be there and to bring that back for the alumni and for the school itself and to be a part of that was so big for me and my family. So my high school experience was very interesting to say the least, but being a part of that football program and having the success we did made it very easy to with everything else.
Was that 13? You guys?
2012 was when we won the title. Yeah.
Is that you played with Hampton?
Yeah,
Was he on that team?
Saquon and I graduated
Oh, okay.
together. Yeah.
So talking about high school again. So you won that ring. Were there any, I guess, college looks coming along as you guys were winning, or were they just coming to look at certain players? How did your process go with colleges and recruitment?
It was definitely underwhelming to say the least. I always had a bigger, envisioned something so much bigger for myself. So I had a lot of smaller schools, D3s, D1 AAs that were more interested in me. Not really the big schools. Big schools were coming in to see guys like Saquon, Jamil, Bailey, who was our receiver at the time. And they were stud athletes. So honestly, that's all they were interested in. My dad being the guy he was would get guys like me into the meetings with those coaches in the big schools, but they it was like a formality, like how you doing type of thing. So for me, my junior year, I didn't have any teams really interested in me but Del Val. I spoke with the recruiter Nick Brady there, and we just built a really good relationship from pretty much the moment we sat down and started talking to each other. And they were very adamant about getting me up to the school and being around, but even going into my senior year, I was like, I can still kind of turn this around. I can maybe get a scholarship. I can do something to get my name out there and go to a big school like I wanted. And it just wasn't in the cards for me. I think it was too late in the process, especially with football. So, like I said, it was definitely underwhelming, but it really paid off making the relationships I was able to make.
So when did you actually, I guess, commit to Del Val? Was it your senior year after the season or before that?
Actually, no. I committed to Albright College initially. And that's what I was alluding to before, is when I had graduated and went to Albright, I had such an interesting, bad experience just being there. It wasn't a good fit, kind of like you were talking about, like being at Nottingham. It just wasn't a good fit. Those weren't my type of people. And
Same. I had the same experience.
It just was so not
Weirdos.
fun. Yeah. Like, it was just really bad energy and bad. And, I'll talk about that later. But it was just bad energy, and it just kind of put me into a hole. I experienced a concussion there. That I actually had to medically withdraw. So it was almost like God taking me out of that position right there, like telling me,
that was a sign
messed
right
up.
there.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
sure.
That was a sign.
And then I had got in touch while I was home, I got in touch with the coaches at Del Val, and of course they were still interested. So just kind of had to get the paperwork in, and, was able to get in there for 2015, January 2015 is when I started.
That's good that you went somewhere you knew it wasn't for you. And nowadays in high school players, they love to transfer, but sometimes it's the right or the best decision for the kid, because you don't want to be somewhere where you become depressed or
wasting talent,
and just
And
you don't want to be
eligibility, too.
there. Why not go somewhere where, 1, you're welcome, 2, you're appreciated, and 3, like, that's where you want to be. And I'm glad even though you had a concussion and was medically what was it?
Medically excused.
Yeah.
But you still made the decision to leave anyway.
Right.
Some people would have stuck it out like, all right, I made the decision to stay, but you still was able to leave. So kudos to you to making that decision. That was a smart decision in hindsight now,
Yeah, definitely. At the time, with everything just being at the forefront and in my face, for me, it was just what's going to be best for my mental right now. And at first, that was just getting out of Albright and getting out of that situation. After I dealt with that and was able to then shift my mental into what's next for me, what do I want for myself, that's when Del Val came into the forefront, and it kind of just made it easy for me to make that pick, switch, over to that school.
So as we transition to Del Val, how many years did you play there? 4, 3?
4.
4
years.
How was, that first year there compared to your last year?
Very different.
And before you start, sorry, I visited there to go there for basketball in college, and I went there. Phone didn't have service. I didn't want to go back. But go ahead. Sorry.
I wouldn't have came back either.
For a full ride, your phone didn't have service?
It was a full ride?
Well, for me, it's D3. They give you some, financial
and all that?
aid.
It would have been
accumulated to that?
But still, no service. What am I doing here?
Well,
but it's not about me.
For those who haven't been there, it's on a farm, so it's really not it's really not anywhere like when you go to the school and you just see the school itself. You're like, this is it. Like, it's kind of like one of those things. You know what I mean?
Literally on the farm?
It's on a farm. Yeah, and they are an agriculture school, so.
That was a serious question. I've never been there.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I wanted to clarify, because I get what he's saying from. When you
Okay.
get there and you're on the campus, like, it's very much like, this is college, like, okay, like, it's kind of it's a little underwhelming, but the school itself and it's the people who are there.
Though.
Gym's nice, they got good facilities. It's the people who were there for me that made it very easy over the time I was there, and that I alluded to it again earlier. Again, I'll say, like, it's all about energy for me. And the energy was just right from the moment I stepped on campus. I was put into a dorm room around just a great group of people, still some of the guys who are my best friends up to date. So we're talking 4 or 5 years removed. And that made, like I said, that made it easy to go into to get back into the gym, to start grinding again. Like, I had taken that whole first semester off, and I was home and I was training and I was working, but it's different when you're around people who have that same energy and that same desire and that same fire. So when we were all in there together, whether we were hitting the field, whether we were hitting the gym, whatever the case may be, like, it was just so fun. And I felt like I was getting back to the old ways of like all that. So that from the jump was like a win for me. Like, right away I was comfortable where I was and I wasn't worried about anything else. It wasn't football season, so there was nothing to stress over. So like I said, the transition part was easy. As we got into the season, I was still playing quarterback at the time. So I was thinking, like, I'm going to still play quarterback. I'm going to win this job. The job was open. But then, like, I started to realize, like, athletically speaking, I had taken a step back. Like, that whole semester off, like, as young as I still was, I was 19, like, I just felt like I was missing something that these new guys.
You got to think, 19, but you done been playing all your life. The miles you done put on your body at 19 is kind of compared to putting miles on your body as a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, when I was in college playing ball, I was 23, but I'm like, dang, I done put miles on my body like I'm 30.
Right.
So, yeah, in that sense.
So I just felt like I was a step behind, and I felt like, if I was going to get on the field, like, it wasn't going to be right away like I wanted. Like, I sat the year out, and I just honestly had to be brutally honest with myself and just understand the situation for what it was. I wasn't at the same degree as an athlete as these other guys were. So it was, okay, how can I just get onto the field? I was sitting around 4th or 5th on the depth chart. I'm thinking to myself, damn, I'm going to sit out another year. I cannot do
that's
this.
tough.
And lose eligibility.
You're going to lose the eligibility.
In the
Absolutely.
process, I'm thinking to myself, like, it's another shit situation. And then, sure enough, coaches come to me and they start talking about punting. And they're saying, hey, like, the punter position's open. If you want it, it's yours. Like, we see you got a leg. We know coming in you had a leg. Like, you can just pump for a year, and if you want to go back to quarterback in the spring, we'll arrange that and figure it out then. So, all right, I'll pump for the year, because the point was to get on the field. I was going to be in the locker room. Like, I was going to be able to experience college football the way I always wanted to, which is not just being there, but actually playing and contributing. And that first year was awesome. Like, I met, like, the older guys they took me under their wing. They really looked out for me. They understood I took my job seriously, and I wanted to work, and I wanted to win. Like, I understood I was playing punter, but I'm here to win. I don't care if I play. Like, I can. There were games I sat out the whole game. Didn't care, because we were winning and celebrating with these guys. And, as that kept building throughout the years and we got closer and we had, other guys come in and whatnot, it was a perfect fit for me. And, like, these guys really brought the best out of me. Being at Del Val was the perfect environment for me, because they wanted to be great and I wanted to be just as great as them. So I had to match their energy, and that brought out the best in me.
Correct. Yeah. I played basketball 2 years, but I was in college 6, so I lost some years of eligibility, a lot of things. And when you got to look in the mirror and be like, man, I'm not as good as I once was. What can I do? That's a tough situation to be in when you was an athlete and you was a star at one point. So it's humbling, but I think it definitely help you. And now you
Builds
look
character.
Yeah, you got a lot of character. You got a lot of respect for the game, and now you in a position to get to your ultimate goal.
Right.
So,
and I think that was just, like, a part of my process. Like, I look back and I say, without that experience, would I be here today? Would I have had the success I had?
Correct.
Following that, and it's an easy answer, and it's no. Like, if I didn't take the time and put that into myself and my emotions, like, I feel like as a man, like, often it's very frowned upon to speak on your emotions and talk about, like, your feelings and, like, but getting all of that out and having the team around me and being able to just communicate every day and, like, be myself, like, that just made it so much easier moving forward in my process. And, like, I just, again, like you said, I feel like it made me better on the back end for it.
correct.
Just to jump back real quick, kids, if you're listening, make sure even though you want to be the quarterback, the receiver, the running back, sometimes that position that many people overlook is maybe the best position for you. It might give you more opportunities. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because, like he said, he was a quarterback in high school.
Receiver, like, he did it all.
Receiver,
You never know.
then turned into a punter, and he was an All-American. Like, things... Two-time. I'm sorry, two-time. I did say that at the beginning.
Talk your shit, Brosy. What you mean?
2-time All-American, bro.
I only
Humble
say that
brag.
because I'm very proud of what I accomplished in college. Like, I was a step behind of a lot of the guys who are already in that position. Like, you got to think, when you're a college athlete, like, you're pretty much going to, like, those people who have put their entire lives into their craft, and to get to that point, like, I was just the new guy on the block, like, just learning the position. Really didn't even have a position coach my first 2 years, self-taught, like, got myself to that place where it was like, this is my thing. And when I got that All-American honor, both of them, it was like, it was so rewarding. It was that self-fulfillment. It was like, I worked so hard for this. I know what I put into this to get the product I wanted out of it. Was like, now I'm at the point where it's just like, I acknowledge it for what it is. That was your work. That's your body of work. That's your craft. Take pride in it.
Yeah, for sure.
So I watch a podcast. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with it. It's called I Am Athlete with Brandon Marshall, Channing Crowder, Fred Taylor,
Ochocinco, right?
and Ocho Cinco. And they had, I forget the kid's name. He was a punter, black punter. He had a YouTube channel.
Destroying. His name's Destroying.
Yeah, he's a kicker.
Yeah.
Kicker,
So
punter,
basically, what I'm getting to is they were talking about how Channing Crowder was saying a punter isn't really a football athlete, so to speak. So how do you feel about that? Someone saying that was in the NFL saying that a punter isn't like an athlete. They don't work out as hard. They don't.
That's messed up.
How do you feel about that?
It's disrespectful.
I mean,
it is.
It's kind of like the whole approach to the position in general. Like when you're a specialist, whether you kick, punt, long snap, you're perceived to be soft. And a lot of people think you pick that position because you don't want contact, you don't want to be part of it. That's not the case whatsoever. I mean, some of the biggest, most athletic, toughest guys I've met to date are all kickers and punters. I get one example is Corey Vedvik. Corey Vedvik has been, on a couple different teams these last year, but if you see Corey and you see his body of work and like how he looks, he's a freak athlete. He was a soccer player who decided to play football. Again, I just think it's the approach to the position. We're not interested in contact, we're not interested in work. We just want to chill. But if you're really paying attention to what we do, it's very demanding of your body. It's just in a different way. If you are a lineman, it's very important for you to bench press and to be big because you're taking on a lot of pressure at once. Correct. Whereas for me, I'm not going to go in there and throw around 225, 250 pounds. There's no point for me to put my time into that. There's more. I'm going to get more out of doing hip workouts and stretching and being more detailed in body weight movements and stuff to that degree, because that's going to make me most effective in my position. People just want to go in and throw 300 pounds on the squat bar and look at you and say that's what makes you strong. Well, that's not necessarily the case, especially if that person who's squatting 300 pounds can't move laterally like me, can't move vertically like me, can't move like me in general. It's just a different way I'm training. So again, it's all the perception, but it's also it's just looking at it for the reality. You have to be athletic to do this. I'm lifting my leg over my head every single time I kick. I'm exploding at least, 5-6 inches off the ground. There's just a different way I'm displaying my athleticism that to the human eye, to the naked eye, you're not going to catch it right away. But if I were to give you a breakdown and a video and you can see every part of my movements the way I watch film, you'd be like, wow, man, that takes some serious.
And if any of those professional athletes, the wide receivers, just took a time and be like, all right, let me see if I could kick. Yeah, and I think they'll have a whole different perspective.
Sure, they probably can't kick 30 yards.
Yeah,
sure
probably
can kick 50, 60. I don't know, but.
Yeah, but it's just it's just looking at it's just so simple. You're kicking a ball, but when you look at the details in it, and it's just like the most minuscule movements, can just throw off a whole rep. That changes your perspective towards it, and you're okay, well, not only is this super critically detailed, but it also takes a lot out of them athletically to perform what they're doing.
And that's an abnormal movement a kicker doing, a wide receiver not kicking their leg over their head,
right?
Any type of thing.
Throwing their hands.
Yeah,
right.
Not saying that's easy either, but it's just I think it's more of a respect thing when you're in any profession. So I think
that's crazy.
I paraphrase.
No, but that's basically the same, because the guy Destroying on there, I don't know if y'all, he was made a YouTube channel, but he was still in college. So he's making money off YouTube and stuff.
He's going to different camps.
So I'll be watching him, and he be doing wide receiver workouts. I'm like, man, he's athletic for a kicker. But it's not just for a kicker, he's athletic. Period.
Yeah, exactly. That's just, like I said, it's all about how you're going to look at it. You classify him as a kicker, and then you're going to look at him as a kicker. You know what I mean? It's no different than if I hold you to the standard of only being a point guard or a shooting guard, whatever it is. If a point guard like Russ, for example, is super athletic and does things like a center, you wouldn't anticipate him to do that from looking at him. He's going to take for you to see it to be oh my gosh, okay, he's like that. It takes a lot out of him to play. You know what I mean? It's just all about how you're going to look at it in the forefront.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and back in my day, they had me on the line. I played one game and I was out of it.
But I play football.
That's another story.
I don't know if you guys want to.
Y'all see how tall I am?
Well,
not tall at all.
I was on the line, flag football. I wasn't an All-American, but I made the All-Star team.
You wasn't a center, I hope.
Nah, I was like a defensive end. I was a defensive end.
Get that joke.
That's important.
Said I gotta get paid, man, I gotta get paid. Keep your hands up. Working hard all night, working hard all day. Put your hands up. Said I gotta get paid, man, I gotta get paid. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Middle fingers in the air if you know you're not a slave. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Then we gotta get paid, then we gotta get paid. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Working hard all night, working hard all day. moaning. Put your hands up. Said I gotta get paid, man, I gotta get paid. Keep your hands up. Working hard all night, working hard all day. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Said I gotta get paid, man, I gotta get paid. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Middle fingers in the air if you know you're not a slave. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Then we gotta get paid, then we gotta get paid. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Working hard all night, working hard all day. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Say we gotta get paid, man, we gotta get paid. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Middle fingers in the air if you know you're not a hooker. Put your hands up. Said I gotta get paid, man, I gotta get paid. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Working hard all night, working hard all day. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Said I gotta get paid, man, I gotta get paid. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Middle fingers in the air if you know you're not a slave. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Then we gotta get paid, then we gotta get paid. Keep your hands up.
And we're back. My question is, what kind of workouts do punters, like what do they do on a daily basis to keep their, I guess, like stay sharp? And who are some punters that you looked up to during, I guess, your college career or try to take some notes from?
Yeah. Well, the first part of your question, for the workouts specifically, it might be misunderstood, but you can't go out and kick all the time. Like, I can't go out every day and kick. It's just going to put too much stress on my leg, and eventually you're just going to overdo it, and it's going to do too much. So it's finding ways to still work my technique while I'm not swinging my leg. So a lot of that comes from just different movements, whether it's with the ball, whether it's just with my feet, and just really making sure I'm paying attention to the details. That's what I coach a few kids around in the area, and that's just what I try to emphasize to them is like the details you're going to get more out of that than just going out there and kicking. So number one, it's really working my technique. And again, like you would with anything else, just trying to perfect the craft, not overdo it. Number two, with the workouts, I mean, they're pretty like standard workouts like you would for any type of football player or athlete in general. More explosion stuff than anything else, trying to get the hips, because that's where a lot of your power is going to come from. And that's really it. Workout wise, I mean, it's pretty much as formal as it can be. It's just different, different tweaks to different things, just to specify the specific muscles you need. And then finally, the second part of your question, there's two punters specifically that like I looked to when I was in college, and Marquette King was one of them. Marquette, as you just said, like he was swaggy with it. Like he brought out that swagger. Like it just, again, like made it different to be a punter. That's something I always took pride in. Like you look good, feel good, play good. Like I would go out there trying to look my best because I knew that was going to get the best out of me. If I'm going to look it, I got to play like it. So he was definitely one of them. And then the other guy, like more technical, was Johnny Hecker from the Rams. He's more like me. He's a redhead, tall guy. So, he was just somebody who I was very familiar with, somebody who I knew was just a consistent all-pro, consistently good at what he did. So I studied a lot of his film and essentially tried to be like him and do what he does.
I got a lot of respect for kickers. I've been a football fan like my whole life, but now, like, even when we're talking about the other podcast, hearing his story, now hearing your story, it's like, wow, like you guys really take pride in what you do, and y'all really are athletes. And not to lie and say I didn't have respect, but I never looked at it like, oh, okay, he's a punter. But like the Super Bowl could come down to a field goal. It can come down to if a punt and putting you in a certain field position. So it's like that's what's up, that you was able to be a quarterback, understand like this may not be what I need to do right now, and put all your eggs into kicking. And now look,
I think that comes with maturity, though.
Yeah, for sure, sure.
I can't promise you young Steve would have did that. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Young Steve in high school, like I said, man.
Quarterback Steve, you wouldn't have been.
Quarterback Steve was a menace. He was he was just focused on getting his. And like I said, as I have matured and I've had this time, taken away from football and then being back in it, it's just I have a great appreciation for every position, and especially the kicking position. I'm very thankful that I can try and change the culture and the outlook on it.
So now that you're training and getting ready for a camp soon, we'll talk about that in a little bit. What's your daily routine? Daily routine every day. So do you work out every day, or do you work out every other day? How does that go for you? I
try to work out at least 4 times a week. So keep it at at least the majority of the days. I try to kick the same amount. So if I'm off from kicking one day, I'm going to make sure I lift and do a little extra lifting. If I'm off from lifting one day, I'm going to make sure I'm doing extra kicking. If I'm doing both one day, then I'm probably going to be more technical with my details and whatnot. So it's training every day in some fashion, whether I'm kicking or lifting. The most consistent thing I'm really been adamant about and really been working on is my nutrition.
I was just about to ask you.
Athletes like, especially pro athletes, like, they take a lot of pride in their bodies and treating their bodies, putting the right fuel into the car, So that's essentially how I'm looking at it. Like, I'm putting the right things in my body so I can function the right way. That's where I've seen the biggest difference, whether, that and sleep, making sure I'm eating right and sleeping well. That's where I've been able to be most consistent with my production on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Besides Ocho Cinco, he talks about eating McDonald's.
But he was really arguing with Brandon Marshall.
But he's a different type of athlete. So
Again, he's a different type of human.
Yeah.
But he doesn't drink or smoke, so I guess it balances itself out, I guess.
He eats bad. He doesn't do the other
Eat
stuff.
McDonald's every day, though?
That's what he said. He would eat McDonald's not every day, but
like majority of the week.
But he had
he didn't eat healthy.
He had the wide receiver from the Seahawks on there. He said he eat McDonald's he said he eat McDonald's breakfast.
But I mean, they working out.
They're millionaires.
He's a freak athlete too.
Yeah.
Different
type of
but like he's saying, kids out there, your nutrition, you got to start it now. Not a diet, nutrition. Just putting things in your body, and anything that you like to eat, you can always make a healthy alternative.
That is the biggest difference. It's those two words. Like when you say diet, people are like, "Whoa,
oh
my gosh, what do you mean diet?"
It's expensive.
But when you say nutrition, it's like, "Oh, I'm just focusing on what I'm eating." It's like, or even just putting into your body. It's like just.
Or smaller portions.
Just little details of what you're doing on an everyday basis. Like, even if you're not a clean, like super clean eater, like if you're still applying something with vitamins or anything where it's just like you're applying something positive nutritionally, then you could still be speaking on nutrition, not a diet. You
drink some water or something. You get a cheese steak. You get a whole T-bone steak. Just get a glass, try to balance it out. Put the lemon in there.
Don't put no butter on a steak or nothing. Just
I need all that. Mashed potatoes.
I need eggs too.
Gravy. Sorry. But so let's talk about what you have coming up. You can talk about it. I don't want to get it wrong.
So coming up this month at least, I train with a coach named Mike McCabe in Birmingham, Alabama. I was able to connect with him through one of the camps I had gone to when I was fresh out of college. It's called the College Gridiron Showcase. He runs that event. So I linked with him there. That was the first time I met him. Following that camp, he wanted to bring me in and have me, training with him right away. So once I was done my classes, I shot down with him and started training with him. Been with him the last year. And, that was the one thing that I've really felt like I lacked when I was at school was just not having that coach, not having that consistency in training where I was getting that detail-oriented responses that were helping me grow on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
So when I got with him, I saw huge jumps from where I was kicking, whether it was the distance or the hang time of my kick. It was like night and day difference from the jump. So I've been with him the last year, and I'll be with him this next month. March 5th is when I'll fly to Arizona. And out there in the Phoenix area, I work with another coach. His name's Gary Zahner. He hosts it's pretty much just like the combine for specialists, free agent specialists. So whether you're a rookie just coming in fresh out of college or if you're a free agent now, he hosts both events at the same time. And you guys go out there and you'll kick in front of all 32 teams in the NFL, some CFL teams. You got the XFL as well. So different teams send different representatives to come and watch you. You'll kick in front of them. And if they're interested, they'll bring you in for workouts afterwards. And if not, then, you just go about your business.
So I know the NFL is not the end all be all, but where everybody wants to be as a football player. Do you see yourself making a CFL team or XFL team? And if so, would you accept that job? I'm sure you would, but I want to get your answer.
Yeah, no, I would definitely accept any opportunity I can get. I don't think I'm above playing in any different league. Obviously, NFL is the dream, and that's the goal, and that's where I want to be. But I don't think, mentally, I'm not in that position where it's NFL or bust. If the CFL were to come with an offer, if the XFL were to come with an offer where I would have the chance to play ball again, that's really all I want right now. As much as I am focused on, making money and moving into that next phase of my life, I'm also concerned with the fact this is still just something I've always wanted to do my whole life. I'm not going to overlook my dream for dollar bills. I think I've established a solid foundation outside of sports where I don't or I'm not just reluctant on these paychecks. Like, I'm not, relying on these paychecks. So for me, it's just an opportunity to live out my dream and to accomplish my goals. So whether it's NFL, CFL, XFL, I'm just very, very welcome to any opportunity.
What is your mindset going into this? Like, now this is a different, like, now you got NFL scouts there, all these different scouts there. It's real serious now. How is your mindset?
I mean, for me, it's just another day. Like, it's just another blessing and another opportunity to work. To still even have, be now going into my second year out of school and to still have these opportunities. Like, I wasn't even supposed to be here from the jump. Like, I was, like we've talked about, I was a basketball player, transition to football player, quarterback, transition to punter. Like, the fact that I'm even out here with these guys who have, like I said, trained their whole lives, been doing this since
their whole lives.
Been doing this since they were like 10, 12, 15 years old. Like, and I just started this when I was 19, 20. Like, to be here at these camps competing with these guys, like, it's a blessing. So, like, I try not to overcomplicate it and overlook it. Like, I know it's a big setting and there's a lot of important people there who will dictate what happens with my career or not. But ultimately, I'm just thankful and happy to be there. And I know if I go in there and do my thing and do what I'm supposed to do, then the rest will take care of itself. You
got there by hard work, or like, how proud are you of yourself? Like, I know a lot of people be like, "Oh, I'm proud of you," but
I mean, I've joked about it before, but I am very proud of myself. Like, I've come a long way, and I don't just mean that as an athlete. I mean that as just a man in general. Correct. Watching myself mature and really just grow through this process and just understand values like that are so important that I'm going to take out of this game. Like that to me it means so much more to me than any opportunity or anything else. It's just everything I can take outside of that and apply into my everyday life.
Right, absolutely.
So I know you're going to get a contract for next season, whether it be NFL, XFL, CFL. But if you don't, is there a window you're giving yourself where you're like, all right, I'm, I guess, done trying to make this dream come true, and now I'm just going to get, I don't want to say a regular job, but find a career in something else?
Yeah, I've kind of already exceeded that window. Like, I started with the mindset that, I was going to go to this camp twice. Last year being the first time. If I needed to come back this year, then that's what I was going to do. So that's where my head's at. Like, right now, I'm just very focused on like what's in front of me and what I got to handle here, and then kind of worry about the other stuff on the, like, once I get there. But if I have to cross that bridge and that's just what comes, I definitely want to get into teaching. I have my teaching degree. Definitely. I mean, I've been around coaching my entire life and schools my entire life. So I definitely want to give back. I've already started to coaching individually, and then I do a camp over the summer, football camp in Hamilton with kids from the entire area. So that's always something I wanted to tap into and something I will tap into eventually. I'm not sure when it's going to be, but I do have that ready to go into if this year doesn't pan out.
Okay.
So we know you're going to do well at these camps. But before we let you go, a couple more questions for you. What's some advice you would give, I guess, a kid coming up in the on the football field, whether they're a quarterback, receiver, or one of those positions where you talked about a long snapper, a punter? What's some advice you would give them coming up, knowing or not knowing how they can make it to that next level? What's some advice you would give?
Be coachable, number one. Like, you have to have the right and that starts with your mentality going in. Like not thinking you're better than everybody, not looking at like it very bleak, or like you're gonna be the man, score all the touchdowns, do it, like get all the recognition, because that stuff doesn't matter. It's applying what really matters, and number one is being able to be coached by the people who are gonna be coaching you. So having an established mentality going in. Number two is being open. Like don't. And when I say being open, I mean like just being open to everything, being receptive to your teammates, being open to position changes, just being flexible in general, because you're going to have different forms of adversity that pop up, whether it's with a coach, with a teammate, with a parent, whether it's schedule, whatever the case may be. You're going to have different adversities. So it's not only putting yourself in a position to handle that adversity, but when it comes, not letting it be too much or overtake the moment for what it is. Because again, these are just sports, and I know like there's a lot of good things that could come out of sports, but in hindsight, eventually you're going to have to give it up, whether you get to play professionally or not. Like, it's going to come that point in time. So you want to make sure you're somebody with high character outside of sports, where you can apply these different things that you're going to learn during your time there into your everyday life. That's going to make you not only a successful person like in the business or in your job or in your career, but just a successful person in your friendships and your relationships and you know, the stuff that really matters.
Yeah, very important. Very important.
So speaking about adversity, let me give y'all an example of me, and then we'll ask around what y'all been through. Adversity regarding sports, I don't know if I wasn't coachable, but coaches didn't, I guess, I don't want to say didn't like me.
They didn't
but
like you.
I gave a poker face all the time.
So they didn't like
that
you.
poker face, I didn't give them a reaction, so they thought I was like trying to be smart or whatnot.
Poker face.
Y'all know who I'm talking about, but
Yeah.
like in my mind, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. A coach when I was younger, I forget who it was, but he told me like, just keep a poker face, don't show emotion. But that kind of backfired.
He set you up.
In my first couple of years of high school
find
and college, but eventually I learned how to speak up, like you said it before, showing emotion, like just letting the coach or assistant coaches know like what's going on, what I'm going through, just so they know like, oh, Reg is not having a good day. Like, let's lay back off of him a little bit. So in college and high school, that was like some adversity I had to go through where, besides failing off, but that's another day. That's just something I went through in college and high school.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit. My difficulties being eligible, and it was a lot of the time it wasn't my fault. Like my grades, it was credits, it was a lot, and I thought about just like I was at school for 2.5 years without ever playing basketball. So I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm done. I guess basketball isn't it. It never deterred me from finishing school because I'm like, I started school, I'm gonna finish. But I was at my lowest points not playing basketball, and I'm like, man, it's my fault. But I think the moment that my teammate called me and told me I was eligible to play, it clicked like, bro, it was never basketball. It was me trying to put myself in a position just to be better. Like my mentality in high school, like I wasn't playing, so I'm like, I wasn't the best teammate. So I feel like the basketball God was like, let me take this from you and show you like it's more to the game than just you. And all that complaining that I did in high school about not playing is stunned me in a way. So I would tell any young players out there, like if you're not getting playing time and you feel like you're working and you're giving 100%, maybe you're not giving 100%.
Go hard.
Maybe you go harder. Now, if in the case and you feel like you're going 100%, you're going above and beyond, you're doing everything you can do, now you have to sit back and try to see if that school is a fit for you. But don't run from the hard work and the trials and tribulation that you're going to go through as an athlete. And those years of not playing really showed me like, man, I took basketball for granted. And when I got it back, it was just one of the amazing feelings. And I got it back. I didn't play that much my junior year. Mind you, I sat out 2.5 years. So I wasn't the same player. I wasn't as strong as I once was. So now you got to try to gain all that back in a short span of time. So I didn't play that much my junior year. You go through trials and tribulations as that. But my senior year came along, new coach, new support, and I had one of the best seasons ever. But, I look back and see that, I took basketball for granted. It got taken away from me, but I was able to gain it back. And any kids out there, your education comes first. If I wasn't playing in high school, joking around, maybe my grades would have been better and I would have been eligible. And I would have never went through all these hurdles that I had to go through with credits and your grades and your SAT score. So be mindful that, you won't be a good athlete if you always got on your mind, oh, my grades. It's going to stunt your growth in some way. So, yeah, not playing those years really helped me understand that, you got to put your best foot forward in the classroom, number one, because you're not going to get anywhere without an education. So that was just, something like.
That was good.
I mean, I didn't really deal with
adversity. You're a star, right?
Not to toot my own horn, but, the only sport I didn't really succeed in was basketball because I just played because Reg and all them was playing. But when it came to baseball, I really didn't. I think the only thing I really dealt with was politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
We
said
talked about that last week.
Like I said, I was I was a walk-on at Mercer. It was like they was already doing spring training already.
Okay,
I just came out of nowhere. Like in my eyes, I wasn't the best offensive outfielder, but defensively, I was the best one on the field. But when you got kids that you giving scholarships to and all that, like I don't know. I guess you can't play somebody that just came here and walked on. So.
It is a good coach would know the best player plays, but
but I don't think the coach really.
I wouldn't. If I can just add, like something that really stood out, to me is just, number one, I think when I was really to elevate myself, and something I would love to pass on to the kids and like the younger generation, is just to understand time management. Like there are so many hours in a day, and actually Eric Thomas, the motivational speaker, he talks about this all the time, is like how much time you really have in a day and how much time you really waste in a day. And like you get a whole 24 hours, like that's 60 times 24. Now I'm not good at math off the top of my head, so I'm not going to know, but I'm just going to say that's a lot of minutes.
I was about to just throw a number out.
But it's 24.
Off the top, no, but that's a lot of minutes. And it's just understanding, like, if you care about what you're doing, regardless of what your craft is, whatever you deem your passion, your craft, whatever it is, if you're putting your time into that, more time than you're not, then you're going to get good results out of it. What you put in is what you're going to get out of it. And that's a cliche. I know a lot of people say that, but that is the God's honest truth. Like, if you put in 10%, you're only going to get 10%. But if you go 100, 24/7, 365, you're going to get 100 back. Like, it's impossible. Good things come to those who work hard. So put your time into what matters. And you will see that you really only need an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day to go into your craft. And if you do the math, that's 21 hours left to do whatever you want. So make the sacrifices, man. Make the sacrifices early, because it's going to pay out later in the end.
Oh, wow. We're going to end it on that. So every episode.
Blessings.
Every episode we ask all our guests this question. I'm sure you're aware of it, but the question is, and your answer, you have to somehow help us get that person on. It'll make sense when I ask. But who should we have next as a guest on the Playmaker podcast? And it can be sports related. It doesn't. They can have like a business or just anything. Anybody that's doing something positive for the community, themselves, or something like that.
Listen. I don't know if he would do it, but I think Keith Zimmerman is a name that you should absolutely look into. Okay. Keith Zimmerman is a current football coach at Nottingham High School, but the things he does outside of Nottingham and what he does for really the entire community, entire Mercer County football specifically, has been unmatched. Like, the energy is just unmatched. So I can just tell you from personal experience, when I was in high school, I really struggled to put film together to send it out to coaches. And what Keith has done a great job of is not only finding these kids who are looking to play at the next level via Twitter, but he's also going on their pages, sharing their film with coaches, reaching out to other coaches, even though they're not a part of his program, still reaching out to other coaches, trying to get these guys in Mercer County, whether it's Ewing High, Trenton High, West, Steiner, whatever the case may be, he is working his tail off to try and get people opportunities outside of high school. And I think that should not continue to go unnoticed. Keith, if you're watching this, man, you're doing an exceptional job. And if you can get on this podcast and speak to these guys. We
can do a virtual interview as well if need be, because we're in a pandemic, so I know.
No, he absolutely would be. He's a great person, got great character, he's a good personality. So he's a little older than us, but I'm telling you, the impact he is making on these kids' lives every single day. For me, I'm not letting it go unnoticed, and I think it needs a bigger spotlight in the county, because he's helping change kids' lives, man. I think that's awesome.
Definitely. Keith, we'll be reaching out. So before we wrap this episode up, I don't know if you want to give your Instagram page or whatnot so they can follow your journey or whatnot.
Or do you have an Instagram for just like your sports?
It's all the same.
Okay.
I've kind of cleared my Instagram a little bit out. Just did
start
a
over,
little
man.
clean.
You
But no, I'm active on there. I post all the time. Regardless if it's sports or it's been a part of the Black Lives Matter movement. I just try to share content and try to make a positive change on the people who follow me. So I'm not all sports all the time for any viewers watching who might be thinking that. So if you want to give me a follow, it's iStevo on Instagram and Twitter. It's ISTEEVEO. I'm not a part of team follow back, so I don't follow back everybody.
For sure.
But no, I'll show love and hey, if you heard my story and you want to reach out and just chop it up and there's any information I could pass on, if there's any way I can even help you personally, I'm the type to do that. So don't hesitate and definitely feel free to reach out.
Once again, we want to thank Steve for showing up and giving us some of his story. I'm sure he has a lot more, and when he comes back from these workouts, we can have him back on to find out how it went. He is a two-time All-American from Val, two-time former quarterback at Nottingham High School. Once again, we want to thank you for showing up and just giving us great content for our listeners. So like he said, follow him. We'll put his Instagram page in the description. Don't forget to grab you some merchandise on our website, www.theplaymakerpodcast.com. And you can find everything on there, whether it be past episodes. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm your host, Reggie Coleman.
I'm your co-host, Nikita.
Co-host DJ Bean.
Appreciate you again, Steve.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
We out.
So, unfortunately, you're a Cowboys fan, but that's not the point. The point is, who do you have winning the Super Bowl?
Listen, Pat Mahomes is probably like the best talent we've ever seen at the quarterback position. So it's hard to, in my mind, like separate that from Tom Brady's undeniable, like just greatness. So I'm looking at talent versus. I got to go with Tom. Like I might be wrong. But I'm just looking at it for what it is.
Don't bet against Tom.
Don't bet against Tom is what I've learned, man. And then, like I'm just thinking in my heart of hearts, like even if he doesn't lose, he's already accomplished something so unbelievable. 10 Super Bowls. I mean, that's almost half my life he's spent playing Super Bowl games. So it's just crazy. But yeah, I gotta go Tom and Tampa Bay.
I'm not a betting man, but I follow some pages. 85% of the bets are on the Chiefs to win. So that tells me you should bet on Tom Brady and the Bucks to win. But I didn't say that because I'm not a bet man.
What's your team? Go ahead. I mean, sorry, not your team.
I'm a Cowboys
not the Cowboys. I'm not your team. Who you got winning? My bad. I'm sorry.
So, like I said, I can't bet against Tom, so I think they're going to win. And it's just crazy because Tom as a player, like, he's the GOAT. Yeah. But besides that, it's like, when he was on the Patriots, I hated when they won. But now he went, what is he in? I don't know, AFC, NFC now?
NFC now.
I still don't know the difference.
So he's like LeBron. He going from one conference to the next and still winning.
Yeah.
They're different levels.
You go ahead.
It's different levels.
It's similar, though. I mean, like, think about it. Like, they're both been to a ridiculous amount of championship games, regarding finals, Super Bowls, whatever. But, like you said, bro, like, that's incredible that they've spent more than half of their careers playing for championships. Like, that's what it's about, right? Like, as an athlete, like, you're competing for titles, you're competing to win. And we've seen two guys, like, just I don't
think they'll get the respect until both of them retire.
Of course. And that's sad because, like, LeBron, like, you look at year 18, he's just been, again, great as usual. Looking like he's getting younger, right?
Yeah.
But, like, people are going to look back and be like, damn, like year 18, I should have been.
We took LeBron for granted. I think we'll be able to say we took LeBron for granted.
Big time.
You want to go?
Nah, he like the Washington football team. They're on the rise, though.
Or you don't care?
Oh, no, I'm going with Tom.
Oh, you going with Tom, too? Yeah. Everybody going with Tom but me? Before I start, just want to say it's been 3 years since my Eagles won the Super Bowl. For Super Bowl in the social media area.
I'm tired of throwbacks.
You got enough throwbacks. Ain't y'all Super Bowls on like cassettes? Tapes? Hey, that's not the point.
I'm about to cut your mic off.
The point is, I'm going with the Chiefs' explosive offense. I feel like if the Bucks can't get any type of pressure on Mahomes, I'm talking about pressure that he throws the ball away, not pressure that he gets to his spot that he want to throw to down the field to Kelsey or
JPP MVP.
Yeah, if they don't get no pressure on Mahomes, I think it's going to be a long night for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if they get any type of pressure on Mahomes and he throws the ball away, or maybe some of those short passes, but it's going to be tough.
It's going to be a good game.
Because they're going to put pressure on Tom, and we know, we've been watching Tom Brady for his whole career. When you put pressure on him, he's not as effective as he is if you just let him be in a pocket. But
it's going to be a good game.
So I have the Chiefs winning 31.
Are we giving predictions?
31 what?
31-14.
Stop disrespecting Tom like that. Yo, come on,
that's a crazy score, and I think it's gonna be more high scoring than that. My prediction 38-31. 38-31.
I don't know if this is a safe place. So now it's not a safe place.
It's gonna be like a 7.
So this not a safe place for me to say my score 31-14.
We heard you, but that ain't it.
They're gonna get mad pressure on Tom. He's gonna throw 3 interceptions. This on my heart. And when it happened, y'all gonna tell me y'all gonna appreciate me.
I can't be cool with you.
I'm gonna play the clip if it happens.
All right, thanks.
3 interceptions. I got 38-31.
Yeah, Tom, 3 interceptions.
And God,
Nah,
like, woke you
he
up.
did that last week.
Said that.
2 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Slapped this on your forehead.
34, 30, 31. I'm
34,
going
31,
Bucks.
okay. I
It's
think
gonna
it's
be
gonna be
high
close.
scoring. It's gonna be close. But like the difference to me is like as much as we're talking about how explosive the Chiefs' offense is, you got to talk about how explosive the Bucks' defense is.
yeah.
Like those
Lately.
those two linebackers in Levante David and Devin White are probably sideline to sideline some of the best we've seen in the last 5
I
years.
agree.
In the middle,
JPP been playing great.
JPP had a Pro Bowl year. Nobody talks about him because he got hurt, but Vita Vea, the interior lineman,
interior,
he has
yep.
been one of the top graded guys in PFF the last 2 years. And then on the back end, they got Antoine Winfield Jr., L'Jarius Sneed. Like they're tough back there, and they're young.
Yeah, they've been
and
playing.
they're
They've been
athletic.
playing defense very well lately, but I think that Chiefs offense, man. I
It's
just think
different.
it's
It is different.
It's
It is
different.
different.
I think
Yeah.
you see it on tape, you're like, man, that's crazy. But you watch it, I don't know. It's gonna be tough. Maybe my prediction is a little extra. I like to stir the
She
pot.
just wants to see Tom
Yeah, I
get blown
just-
out. And that's what it sounds
Yeah,
like.
I don't know. I don't want to. Y'all, everybody picked Tom, so I just felt it was my obligation to pick.
All right, we got 3 Bucks picks, 1 Chiefs pick.
But I really want the Bucks to win. Is that crazy?
So you want who?
You just said you wanted. What are you talking? Wait, you just said you wanted.
Hey man, the Bucks
Tom,
going to
what
win.
the
Hey,
Bucks
the
is.
Bucks going to win the Super Bowl. Shout out to Steve again for kicking it with us. We out.
Wait, so wait, you want Tom to win?
Visit our website at theplaymakerpodcast.com and subscribe on Apple Podcast and Spotify.